With the right tools, creating and running race simulation centres can be a lot of fun. This video shows how SRL's venue management system can transform your operations. Let computers do the mundane, repetitive and time-critical tasks, and free your staff to interact with your visitors and talk about racing. The software is designed for use with R-Factor and other popular motor racing simulation packages. It has the flexibility to work with any PC-based systems, with or without motion, with single or multiple projectors, or TV-style displays. The heart of the package is the live event management. These components allow your operators to efficiently deliver great events and customer service. Combine this with the automatic data capture, web display and management, plus the option to integrate bookings and payments, and you have all you need for your customers to enjoy visiting your venues and show your website to their friends and colleagues afterwards. If you have race simulators and are running commercial events with them, then watching the rest of this video in full could be the best time investment that you or your technical team make this year. So here we have 15 minutes of footage showing SRL's venue management system in operation. On the screen we have EMS, the live event management component of the system, taking up the bulk of the left 2/3 of the screen. We've got the pod allocation window in the far left, driver registration and other facilities middle top. Across the bottom the 4 remotes. We'll come to those later. In the top right we see this demo is running with the R-Factor dedicated server, although the management system is designed to work with a range of simulation packages. Modules supporting Grand Prix Legends and Live for Speed have been implemented in the past, and support for future sims can be added where there is demand. Then in the bottom right we've got the 2 circuit maps showing activity on track in this 10 simulator venue. So there are 2 concurrently active events in the venue. Pods 1 to 7 are being used by a group of 13 drivers doing a tournament style event. They have one more driver yet to arrive. We can see their activity on the Brianza Grand Prix circuit diagram in the middle right of the display. Pods 9 and 10 have 2 drivers hot lapping at the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. Their activity can be seen on the circuit diagram in the bottom right of the display. Pod 8 is currently powered off, but will be needed shortly. Looking at the pod allocation window on the left hand side, we can see the remaining time for qualifying is about to go from orange to red, indicating that there is less than 1 minute of the session remaining. The system makes use of colour to highlight various things for the race controller's attention. We can, for example, see that pod 8 is off, as it is showing as red. All of the other pods are green, showing that they are not only fired up, but that there are cars on circuit. In addition to the visual alerts, the system also provides a range of audio alerts, again to draw the race controller's attention to things such as sessions ending. We can see in the central display that the first 7 drivers have all got qualifying laps recorded. We could use the Brianza Grand Prix map on the right hand side to help us end each driver's session as they finish their laps. But for this demo we're going to simply blank their screens all in one go. We will let the system know that the drivers are no longer driving and then get the remaining 6 drivers out on track so that they can do their 10 minutes of practice and qualifying too. Once that is all done, then we can progress to start the racing. With the exception of the remotes, you will notice the whole system deals exclusively with generic race concepts such as cars, tracks, laps, sectors and race positions. Doing this is key to its ability to support multiple simulators and keep a common look and feel for customers and staff alike, regardless of the simulators in use. There are 4 remotes at the bottom of the screen. They control R-Factor, R-Factor vehicle and server selection, display activation and switching, and PC power up and shutdown. With another driver about to join the hot lapping, we're going to need to fire up pod 8. We see the race controller here selecting pod 8 in the pod control window and clicking on the startup command, which will fire the PC into life. Returning to the group of 7 drivers out on track, the race controller uses the remote control to switch them to their splash screen, as they've now done sufficient practice in qualifying. Switching them to the splash screens prevents them from seeing the R-Factor menus. He uses the R-Factor dedicated server to bring the session to an end, and an EMS to allocate the remaining 6 pods, 1 to 6. You can see they've gone yellow on the pod allocation window, and back to green as the race controller uses the remote to allocate the first 6 drivers back on track. He then uses the display remote to activate their driving views so that they can start driving. Now it would appear that the 14th driver, Jim Clark, has just arrived, so we're going to see the race controller here getting him registered into the system, typing in his name, Jim Clark, and looking to see in the auto lookup to see if he has been to the venue before. So now added to the list of active drivers, and we're just going to cut and paste across here the notes so we can see he's part of the GP event, all paid up, including food and beverage. Race controller just pasting that in now. And then added him as a registered driver. The race controller's just going back to the old boys GP, and is going to import him into the event. Just Jim Clark, selecting him there. And then having imported him into the event, just closing that window there, add him to the qualification session. And then finally allocating him to pod 7 so that the system knows that he is driving pod 7, and using the put on track button to get R Factor out on the circuit, and using the display activation so that he can start driving. You'll have seen throughout the demo that the race controller has been clicking on buttons AI on and AI off, and again here. The whole demo has been done without any real drivers. There are 10 physical pods all driving around, but for simplicity of creating the demo, we're using the AI to drive the vehicles. Okay, next up we're going to see the race controller use the remote R Factor launch facilities to select Elise's, and then he's going to select pod 10 as the server to connect to, and then from here remotely launch R Factor. We'll see the colour indicator has gone on pod 8 from orange, which means no simulator running, to yellow, which means that the simulator is active. So R Factor just firing up on pod 8 now. Whilst that's just firing up, the racing controller is just going to add Jensen Button into the system, who's going to join Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg with the hot lapping. Having registered him into the system, we can also take the opportunity to show how the database can record contact details for each driver. We're going to pop in an email address for Jensen and likewise put in a telephone number and things like marketing information, where he first heard of us. All of this data, along with the lap times and sectors and all of the contact details, are all stored into a centrally hosted database, which gets automatically daily backups. What's more, if you extend the system to incorporate the back office systems, then all of these email addresses can be used for mass mailings and integrated with your bookings. Even if you do not wish to use the back office systems, then the email address is still used at the end of the day to automatically email driver event details should you wish. The database comes pre-configured with your account and can be unique for each venue license key, or shared as a common database across venues if you are looking to run a chain of locations. With Jensen now registered in the system, the race controller is just using the put on track button to connect the pod to the server and get it on track. So currently showing is yellow, sim active but not on track, just waiting for R Factor to connect and join on track with pods 9 and 10, and then we'll see that confirmed with the green on track indicator. And there we go, now green. So back to the active drivers window to allocate Jensen to pod 8. So that EMS knows who to record new laps against. The race controller is now going to activate the driver view, activate the AI, and in a moment set the tick box for keep in pod, which means basically leave these guys out on track for as long as they want. Just keep a track of how much time they've done for billing purposes at the end. We also see the race controller spot that the vehicle is currently in automatic, and he quickly uses the remote to switch that back to manual for Jensen. So having got Jensen out on track with the other two hot lappers, the race controller here is going back to the old boys GP to see how that's coming along. So we can see here the 7 drivers from the first half of qualifying, obviously all got their fastest lap times, as have the 6 from the second part of qualifying. And we see here Jim Clark just about to record his first lap time as well. So that's the race controller's view of the event, and here we see the race controller dragging windows onto our screen from their default location on the customer displays. These are shadow windows which the system generates for use on customer facing displays, so throughout the event everyone can see their qualifying times, race position, points, best sectors, laps, all that kind of thing. So waiting for the second half of qualifying to finish, the race controller is going to show us the kind of information that can be shown per driver. So just selecting Lewis Hamilton here and clicking on View Laps, we'll be able to see all of Lewis's laps and sectors here from his visit today. There we go. And also the kind of operations that can be performed. They can be allocated to different drivers, validated, invalidated, deleted, all of that kind of thing. All of the kind of operations you might like to perform in a live operating venue. The other thing the race controller is going to show here is going to show on pod number 9, bringing up some live telemetry from the pod, starting with pedal information. Now not showing as fluently as it normally does here. The video capture software slows the system down quite a bit on that front, but you can see the pedal information coming up, useful for giving driver feedback but also for equipment diagnostics. Engine information and also GPS log coordinates and that altitude on the circuit, which if you leave running draws a nice picture of the circuit and lets you know where the cars are. So useful information, but mostly for diagnostic purposes. In addition to collating information for the operator and spectators, the system also provides real-time information to the driver in a window at the top of their race view. We see here lap and sector times displayed in yellow and green indicating new personal bests. We can also flick to positions relative to other drivers, our own name, fuel and tyre information, and here back to the sectors. Also, we're going to take a moment here to show the web interfaces to all of this data, which is populated into the hosted database. So looking here at the customer view website, we've navigated here to circuit view, selected the Brands Hatch Indy circuit, and the race controller is here scrolling down to find where Jensen, Nico and Lewis have recorded laps today. We see these highlighted laps available on the website. You can see the best laps on this first screen, and by clicking on one driver you can see all of their laps and sectors. All this is automatically logged and stored by the system. Supporting the web display, there is a control system being displayed on the right hand side of the screen now, which gives you control over the data presented. You can create competitions. We're just having a look at a competition here defined for the current month, May 2013. You can create events and sub-events, choosing different vehicles and driver classes. You can segment things how you like. The system also allows you to represent vehicles. We're seeing vehicles here for R-Factor, Grand Prix Legends, Live for Speed. And you can change the name from the sim and get it displayed as a different name on the website. And the same for circuits. Again, we're seeing R-Factor, GPL and Live for Speed circuits here. The top one there, strange name in the sim, but given a different display name. In fact, here we can see how sim name Brands Hatch is displayed as Brands Hatch GP 1967 on the website. You can also look at the lap data. So we're looking at lap data here, just switching to yesterday's data. This is giving a list of all driver sessions, showing who drove, what vehicle, what laps they did. And in fact, going back to today's data, to tie in with the demonstration we've done, we'll see Jensen Button here. There are the 3 laps he's done from the most recent session that we just put him out on track for. You can see his laps, his sectors. You can perform all sorts of operations on them. So, returning back to the old boys GP, we can see that all drivers have put in good qualifying times, and the race controller is now going to put up the splash screen for all of those 7 pods and end the second session. You can see their pods going from green to yellow, indicating that the cars are no longer on track. There we go. And then I'll quickly let the system know that those drivers are no longer driving. We had to do this manually on this occasion because we ended the session early. So going to the event overview, we've got 14 drivers, all with lap times, and the race controller is going to select all of those and create a race round. Okay, there it is, with race 1 and race 2, and by default the slowest drivers in the first race and the fastest drivers in the second race. EMS has given us the grid order, and the race controller is quickly using the R-Factor dedicated server to set up the grid with the pods in order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We would normally call those drivers out to their pods, but here we just return to EMS to allocate those pods onto 7. Just the press of one key, so easily done. And now back to the R-Factor dedicated server to activate the race. You can see that's now gone into countdown mode, so just pressing the appropriate buttons to get all of those cars out on track. And there they go, all gone to green on the left hand side. And given we don't have actual drivers, again just activating the AI to do the actual driving of those vehicles. And displaying the race view as we would for the drivers to see where they're going. Now just waiting for the race to start, and there we go, green, race underway. So the race controller, just to finish off the demonstration here, is just bringing the customer facing windows so that we can see what the customers are seeing. That's the customers who aren't driving, that is, what they get to see during the race. So on this particular view, the top table with the 14 drivers shows the tournament positions with points from practice, qualifying and the races all totted up together. And the bottom table shows the currently active race. You can see that there it's showing split times between the drivers, but currently no lap times, because just looking at the Brianza Grand Prix map on the middle right hand side of the screen, they're only just coming up halfway round the beginning of the first lap now. So this demo is intended to give a little insight into the kind of things that the venue management system can do both in the venue and on your website. We've barely scratched the surface in terms of full functionality, but hopefully you've got some insight into how it gives additional information for customers, allows you to run large group events with many times more drivers than pods, and concurrent group events, and crucially with the IT systems doing the bulk of the hard work, thereby freeing up your staff to talk to your customers about racing and tell them about your other product offerings. So back to the group race event. If you look at the map on the middle of the right hand side, you will see the cars just coming around to finish their first race lap, and then we'll get a ripple of lap times both on the customer's view and the race controller's view, and there they are coming in now. At which point we will leave the race controller to move that display back out for the customers to see and bring the demonstration to an end. So thank you very much for watching the demonstration. I hope you found it useful, and if you want to find out more, then visit www.simracing.co.uk.